Welcome to the Physique Blueprint podcast for women building strong, sculpted hourglass physique, the stage being optional. I'm your host, Chelsea Kidd, coach and founder of Physique Blueprint. Let's dive in. And I am here with the Rebekaah Gains. I've been looking forward to this conversation for so long. Rebekaah is a lifestyle bodybuilding and posing coach, as well as a physique athlete herself. Her work with women over the last 12 years has revealed something so much more powerful than macros and training programs. And that's what we're going to get into today, the real bodybuilding journey. So welcome, Rebekaah. I'm so happy to be chatting with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here, of course.
Yeah, and guys, if you're in the Facebook community, I'm sure that you already know who Rebekaah is, because she has some of the most like straightforward to the to the point advice. Like she's just such a strong, fiery personality, but she is on point with what she says. And just for context, like I've looked up to Rebekaah for a while. I've reached out to her multiple times over the course of running the group, especially when there's challenging interpersonal things. And I just have so much respect for you, Rebekaah. I'm glad that you're here for this Powerhouse Women series. Let's dive into you.
All right, then. Yeah.
Can
Thank you
we
so
go
much.
all the way back? Like, how did you get into sports at all?
Sports. Oh, so I wasn't really good at any sports. So, I mean, in elementary school, you have the opportunity to try lots of things throughout the years. So that's kind of what I did. I just tried this, I tried that, but there was nothing that really landed for me. But I tried them all just to make sure, you know? And I'm the kind of person that I won't just try something like one time and hate it. I'll try it two or three times, just like really make sure I don't like it before I stop doing it. Spin, for example. And then, yeah, I turned away from that and I started getting involved in musical theater. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was not amazing at that either, but I loved it. And I loved it a lot, and I couldn't really, figure it out. I'm like, why am I not that good at this? But I really love this thing. I just love how it feels, right? I'm not a good singer. I'm not an incredible dancer. I don't know. I don't know. So life went on, right? Became an adult, and I had a really super traumatic event happen to me, and that's what got me going to the gym,
Wow.
right? And
Okay.
that's where it started. And I didn't even think about bodybuilding or anything like that at all. I was just like, I want to feel better about myself, I want to work out. And then sure enough, within a few years from that, it just turned into people like, oh, you should be a personal trainer. So okay, sure, why not? I'll be a personal trainer. And then when I was a personal trainer, very quickly I realized there was nothing special about me. I was just another run-of-the-mill skinny blonde girl. So I had to like specialize or focus on something, right? Because how could I differentiate myself? The place I worked at, we had some really cool people. Like one guy did triathlons, one guy did CrossFit. So it's like, I'm going to find a thing. And that's how I found bodybuilding, because
Nice. That's
it was the only
amazing.
sport I wasn't too old for.
I wonder as you were saying this about being like a mediocre athlete, how many bodybuilders are that because you can compete in bodybuilding, I mean, get started later in life. I wonder how many of us were like mediocre athletes that are have that second wind in life and we're like, but we know how to work hard now because we're always solid mids at everything else.
Exactly. So it wasn't all for nothing by any means, because if
Yeah.
I had, taken off or excelled in one of those places, I'd probably not be a bodybuilder now. So it's, and then combining the whole like desire to be on stage with the musical theater aspect, boom, women's physique.
Right? I was thinking
Right?
that too, how it definitely has to help you with your routine, your presentation.
Yes. Yes. And
What
even
about
throughout the years, I was a group fitness instructor and I taught belly fit. And that's
oh, nice.
basically a lot of like exactly what it sounds like, belly dancing rhythms and stuff like that. And really encouraging women to just like move their bodies in a more, sensual and connected way. Super fun. But all
That
of
is
it,
so cool.
kind of coming together, culminating in the women's physique in terms of how this experience has helped.
I absolutely love that. And has it always been women that you've gravitated towards helping?
Yes, I think it's just easier to connect with them because we understand each other a little bit more. And women are designed to connect. And, as well as most women are more open to receiving help, I feel. It's
Hmm.
not that I don't train men. I do have a couple of guys that I work with, and they're a delight. But I also found, and this is going to sound kind of lame, but as an attractive woman, I didn't want to have a ton of conversations with men who are not really interested in training with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially in the
So,
personal training live scene, that can be dicey.
right. And I just thought, you know what? No, I'm just going to stick to women and
It's
focus
so
on.
smart though, because you are super specialized. I want to go into like a little bit of the high level stuff, but like your specialty kind of like born out of the flames really, is
Mhm.
what I think really makes you stand out in the industry. Before we get like fully into that, I just want to understand or kind of give people like a context. You're in Canada, right? Is that where you're from
Yeah,
originally?
I'm in Vancouver.
Very cool. And you train online?
Yes. Yeah, I
Yes.
could go
Okay.
online.
So making sure people know the context so they can connect with you, because we have a lot of people who come in that are like just very new, and I
Okay.
think a lot of people don't understand that they have like online coaching is kind of the go-to for bodybuilding. It's not, there's not a whole lot of in-person coaching that happens as far as I know around bodybuilding.
No, absolutely not. Not since COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Big shift. Okay, so what would you say in terms of like those childhood, because we're going to get into like inner family systems. I guess I should drop a trigger warning here for anybody. If you've already checked out Rebecca's Facebook page, Inner Aesthetics, like she gets into some really honest conversations that can really kind of pull at some about the wounds that we have, that draw us to this sport. So if you don't mind, kind of sharing like how, I know that you had a traumatic experience, but do you mind sharing more about that and just how you got into the sport
Yeah, for sure.
or weightlifting?
So, yeah, multiple traumatic experiences, if I'm, being perfectly honest. And it just started back in my childhood. I had a mom who was just not not the best mom, and not, she was young. She was young, and she had obviously her own parents and their issues, and we were just always in absolute chaos. As a kid, there was always chaos. There was always screaming. There was always yelling. That was just my life for quite a long time. And I've lived on my own since I was 17 years old. So I left as early as I could. And then, of course, I went down, the not so narrow path and tried drugs, and I partied and I had fun and I did whatever because I didn't have a proper parental structure available to me, to guide me as I was growing up. And my mom was more than happy to just like see me not in the house. So I was
Hmm.
pretty wild and out there. And then, you know, being how old was I? I was in my 20s, and that's your 20s for a lot of people. If you've been kind of caged up or you haven't seen the world in a fun light, it's easy to start partying and lose control. But after a while, getting into my 30s and having a kid and stuff, it's like, okay, no, this is not this is not the thing that I want to continue doing. It just didn't feel right inside of my body,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, I got to do better than this. And yeah, I started getting into fitness, and that just started to reveal some things as time went on about myself, right? That
Were
I
you
had
drawn
to,
to it for building strength
yeah,
or
I
other
was.
factors?
I definitely was. For me, for years, I spent a lot of time being as thin as possible because I was really good at it. We all have our natural skills, but I was really good at being skinny. And I was married to a guy, and all he said was, "You could be thinner one day." And then I decided, yeah, okay. And I just like took
Wow.
that in, and I didn't have my dad around growing up, right? So I was very naive and like didn't have that father figure energy. So it's just like, okay, I want that acceptance and I want that validation. So I'm just going to get really skinny. So I got to about 118 pounds. Then I got bored, Chelsea. That's what happened. That was the switch for me. I was doing so much cardio and I was so busy and moving, and I'm like, why don't I look better than I do
Uh-huh.
for how hard I'm working? What is it? And I wasn't lifting weights. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
You're
that's how it went,
speaking so many people's journey. I mean, maybe not the like household or the all of it, but we see this in women all the time where they're just breaking down their bodies, and then they're still like, why do I hate my body? Like they hate how it looks. They're
Mhm.
parts of it are probably mental.
Okay. Oh, totally, totally, right. And it's never enough,
Hmm.
because of real driver of the desire to do that was trauma, and it was unresolved childhood trauma. So even when I arrive at my thinnest, best body, I was like, okay, now what? It's not enough. I can only eat, I was eating 700 calories at one point. It's like, I don't think I can do that from that. Like, I don't really think I can do that. So what can I do differently? And it's like, oh, I can lift weights. Because I was so thin, the second I touched weights, I looked incredible. And I'm not
Yeah.
bugged, but sometimes it happens like that for some of us, right? So my body responded very, very quickly. And I'm not saying that I gained mass, and I am not saying that I am like a gifted athlete or genetically advanced at all. I was just really skinny, and I had been dieting for so long that when I started like touching weights and eating food, it was like, whoa, okay, this is different, and a good different,
That's
right? And
so
it feels
great
good.
though.
Yeah. And I remember even thinking in high school, because like my mom it was a hard place where I lived. And I always thought, if I just get stronger, nobody's going to push me
Yeah.
around. Nobody's going to push me around anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And well, they don't. And it's kind of funny now, because sometimes, if I'm out, people look afraid when I'm shredded, or they assume I can fight.
Y'all have seen her pictures. Like she has some math on her.
Like, I'm not going to fight anyone. Look at how nails are. Like, I don't even think I can make a good fist. But so the pendulum swung in the other direction, and I think it's hilarious. But yeah, and also a little sad, because like I had one time like an old man like
Oh no.
one of those, and I'm like, oh no, this is not what I wanted to see.
But if we need somebody to walk us down a dark alley, he'd be the
No
person I'd
problem.
call.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm from Ireland, full stop. So we fight dirty. Yeah,
Yes, come out swinging. So
that's
the
right.
ex-husband, it was an ex-husband or
Mhm.
okay. That it's crazy how like something like that can trigger us so much. Like we have so many people pleasing tendencies. Like I think back to stuff I can remember from middle school that were guys like one-off criticisms. It's like I still remember that. It just hits us so hard. I think
Mhm.
especially dependent on our relationship with men and male authority figures.
Yes, big time. Because a good dad, you'd go home and say that, and he'd be like, actually, here's the truth about who you are, what you're about,
Yeah,
right? And you would develop this sense of resilience and self early on in life. But unfortunately, I mean, we're all just trying to figure it out as we go. And as much as we don't mean to be bad parents, like things happen, right? And
it's
it's
hard.
ingrained and in those people as well. And it's a trickle down ripple effect for sure. And
Yeah.
those comments do stick.
What about diet culture in the household? Did you grow up, was that part of your mom's deal too, or not so much?
I grew up with my mom making fun of overweight people.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but I was not overweight,
But
so
it's gonna
it
still
wasn't
stick in
directed
your
at me
brain.
personally. But it's definitely things that were heard. It's like, okay, well, if you want your mom's love, then you better not be overweight, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't risk that. That's just what kids take in when they're young. But that was it. It's not like my mom was constantly on a diet. My mom was a very thin person, and that's probably why she made
Mhm.
fun of larger people, to make herself feel better. She definitely that was a lot of her thing, is to take
Yeah.
other people down to make herself feel better.
Just the general insecurity. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot in media that kind of programs kids to see overweight as bad. Like you think about like a bad guy in a cartoon or something and having like 50 extra pounds on him. And
Mhm.
I think, your parents demonizing it, even if it doesn't apply to you at the time, it still puts it in that category in our brain of like, well, that's not good. So the
Yeah,
further I or
don't
can
do
get
that
away from it, the
thing.
more good I am. Yeah. And
Mhm.
it all really sticks. Hey babe, quick question. Have you fallen out of your routine, or are you training and just not seeing the results that you want? You probably don't need more effort or anything else on your plate. You just need a better strategy. Inside the Physique Blueprint, we use bodybuilding principles, goal specific training, and evidence based nutrition to help you build strength, curves, and confidence. If you're ready to train with intention, the link to join us is in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the show. So I love that whenever you got into the gym, like you started to embrace that and you weren't turned off by seeing that development and seeing that muscle.
Oh, it was horrible, and I was terrified. But I am not a wuss like some people are, and I'll just never forget like some of the times that I stopped and had a full on, this is a decision moment. I'm going to make a decision right now. And I remember the first one was going into the weight room. And fortunately, Irish abusive mom taught me who gives a what anybody thinks. And I'm glad that one stuck. It's caused me a lot of trouble also, but it's brought me a lot of peace and a lot of good. And that's what got me over my initial, like, I don't feel comfortable lifting weights around people, right? And I I would just look at a jacked guy and copy him.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, and that's what I would do. I like, I just did my thing, and then yeah, it just turned from that into like, wow, I really like this, and I'm here. But the sometimes the things that people say and stick are not the worst. Like you can
Oh,
turn it
totally.
around for sure. But the changes when I decided to get bigger, for sure, I'm not any different than anybody else. I absolutely felt some kind of way, and I had my moments, and I was like, oh my god, what am I doing to myself? But I was like, I just kept saying to myself, stop being a little bitch about it. And I know it's blunt, but like you can use your own mantra.
Right.
But it was this is what you asked for. Also, that was another one. You asked for these muscles. You asked for these muscles, right?
Yeah,
And it's if it was easy, everyone would have it, right? And just that those things play in my head all the time.
I
Those are
like
the
it.
things that, yeah, get me through.
I think that you can, and I would default to your feedback on this, but I think you can have a little bit of that tough love feedback in your head, and it's not necessarily a negative dialogue.
That's right.
I think
That's right.
yeah, I'll say it almost jokingly with myself. I'm like, I'm being a big floppy pussy about this, but it's like kind of a joke in my head, just because I'm like, it's whatever I'm going through right now. I don't think less of myself for it. I'm just like aware that I'm being a wimp about it, and that's
Sure.
always my
Sure.
default mantra.
Right. And that's you can't hide from yourself, and you need to be honest with yourself. And there's a big difference between I'm changing my body because I enjoy training
Hmm.
and I hate myself. So
Yes.
through training, I'm going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
Big difference. And that's when you're able to say things like, you're being a little bitch. It's like, yeah, you're right. I should try a little bit harder. You know what? I'm going to put another plate on, right? And those little things. But that's in a gentle tone. It's not you suck, because that is not going to help you last at all when you
And
are constantly cutting yourself
you
down
can
like that.
tell the difference, or I can tell the difference when I hear women saying those things, or even just like certain little statements that I'm like, I just want to pause you right there because like we've got to stop talking like this. It's like not helpful. It's to your point, there's a huge difference between grinding away until you're tiny, tiny, tiny because you want to be as thin as possible and it's not ever going to make you happy, and optimizing your body, going the complete other end of the spectrum with physique. Let's see how hard we can push this. Let's see how dialed our routine can be. It's so much different.
It is, and it's so much more satisfying and healthy long term. And I love that people will easily argue that bodybuilding is not healthy. But do you think living in a deficit and being absolutely miserable your entire adult life is better than anything I'm doing? Because give your head a shake. This is fun, and this involves a certain level of creativity and
Yeah.
freedom and expression, and there's all of these other things that come out of it. And when you think of like, what is this showing me? What's coming up? You can start to work with these things because it's the body image issues that are driving people to this sport. Nobody
Yes.
wakes up who's perfectly whole and complete and satisfied with how they look and says, I am going to get on stage in a bedazzled bikini and show everybody my booty because I'm just that confident. It's a get the fuck out of here. Like,
I'm so
no way, no way, no way, girl, no way. It's like, whose love are you trying to earn? My mom's. Yeah. Okay. Like,
I
right. Like, getting up.
know.
Right. And it's just like how can we impress our parents is honestly, I would say 90% of the subconscious like driver. How can we impress our parents? And then there's the
It's
other stuff in the high school, experiences you might have had, and like the other trauma coupled on it. And there's somehow this illusion in your mind that this is going to make me feel the way I'm hoping to feel.
totally. And people have their entire like support services for post-show blues because people crash so hard on the back end of it because they get on stage, they do the thing, and they're like, "Fuck, I'm still miserable. Like now what?"
No, no, and then you gain 30 pounds because it's your first show and you can't control yourself, and the dollar store is open and they sell candy. So, not it happened to a friend of mine. It happened to me. This happens to everybody. And, okay, I'm not going to say everybody, but this does happen to a lot of people. And this is just a very big, real thing for many people. And that's, why my group Inner Aesthetics started to come up, because it's just like, this has nothing to do with bodybuilding. Oh my goodness, this has so much to do with like other stuff inside, and bodybuilding is just the trigger. So the people who are getting the post-show blues, what a great opportunity, right? Even though, okay, you're face down on the ground crying and you feel sad and you're fluffy and you're this and you're that, but what a wonderful opportunity for you to actually be like, what is actually happening here? Like, why am I really feeling sad? And for a lot of people, it's you're no longer getting attention. Right, that's a big one. You're no longer relevant. Your show's over. Your prep is over. Who cares?
The Instagram
Even if you
stories
came
are over.
first,
The shreds are going away.
Yeah, you have about 48 hours before we all completely stop caring. Welcome to bodybuilding, right? But that's just the nature of the beast, right? So that, and then again, when people don't have a solid sense of spiritual connection, and they've made this their purpose, and now the purpose, right? It's kind of the light switch off, and it's like, even though the build is just as important, and this is the really actually relevant stuff, you're not getting attention, you're not in the spotlight, you are not feeling the validation, you are not hearing people clap for you, right? And that's the crash. But if you can start to take those things and put them on paper and like have a moment and be honest with yourself and actually allow yourself to ugly cry if you want, right? Instead of trying, it's okay, I'm going to push my emotions down, I'm just going to hip thrust until, none of this matters. I'm going to show the whole world that I have the biggest butt, right? And I'm going to go back and do the same show next year and it's going to be totally different. No, it's not.
It's not. You're going to feel like this
right?
just at the end of it. Yeah. Or maybe you do a little bit better. Maybe you go pro and then you feel like this, 2 days later instead of a day later.
Right. So this is the opportunity when you start to realize like, hey, I feel bad. Instead of focusing on how bad you feel, what am I actually feeling bad about?
Well, what do you see most women's response be to when they feel bad?
A lot of people are even afraid to tell me that they feel bad, because then they're being vulnerable. And for a lot of us as kids, especially my mom, we were not allowed to be emotional. Stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about. There was not a ton of nurturing and support. So many women already will just have kind of a reluctant nature to share that information so forthcomingly, right? Because we all we're seeking validation, so we want to impress our coach. And the level of validation is it's a sliding scale. But for most people, nobody wants to go to their coach and be like, you know what, I actually just didn't give a shit. And I ate what I saw. Like, I don't think I've ever had somebody say that to me, even though I bet that's happened a few times. Right. Totally. So it's the people pleasing, the validations. It starts there. That's the first level. Never mind the stage. It starts in that relationship and that connection. So even that connection, that relationship can show you where you have daddy issues when you work with a man. And that's a specific thing that happened with me with my last coach. Something happened and it triggered a thing. And it was like, oh my goodness, this is about my dad. Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was an abandonment wound because he ghosted me. And I was like, why am I so upset, upset, but so upset, like extra, and it was just,
upset.
And I said to myself, like, okay, what's really, who is this really about? Right. That isn't around. Like, and I just went down that little rabbit hole in my journal, and it was like,
good.
Okay, my father. Right. And the more I opened up the laptop and I started looking at the father wound and how people behave, who had an absent or neglectful father, it's overachievers, right? So
the whole industry.
Yeah. So if your father was neglectful in some ways, right, that's probably a lot of what is driving most of the people to get on the bodybuilding stage. I mean, I can't speak for everybody. It's going to be different, but that's definitely a really big factor. And even if you had okay parents, again, maybe you just weren't nurtured a certain way.
Well, and
right?
trauma is just us not handle like any person's inability to handle what was put on them. Like trauma doesn't have to have like a threshold of it being like
No,
so awful. It's just you weren't equipped to handle it, and
that's
maybe
right.
that is further family issues. But I think what you do really, really beautifully with the inner aesthetics is that you are pulling in this inner family systems education and just bringing that to light, because I think women are competing in this sport for decades and never peeling back the layers to own that that's what's happening. Like whenever they start to feel bad on the back of a show, their answer is, I'm going to go harder at the next show, I'm going to do better, I'm going to, like, they just keep grinding and grinding and grinding and never actually looking at what's going on the inside to drive this.
So like the real question is, whose love are you trying to earn?
Yeah. But it's such a hard question to ask. And we've had this conversation offline before where, I'm like, I know whenever I was able to answer that question, I remember like where I was and what it was that hit me, and where I was like, oh, whoa, whoa, I do have some issues with this stuff. Like, uh-oh. I am like, oh, this applies to me. I don't like that. Girl, I had been competing for a minute, like
Hmm.
before I actually like occurred to me that this was relevant to me. Beforehand, I'm like, nope, that doesn't apply to me. That's someone else's problem. Like I just kind of put myself like, I don't want to say like above it, but I didn't want to face it. That was the reality. So I think that's what's so beautiful that you do as a coach is you somehow pull that out of people.
Yeah, I don't even. It's I didn't ask for this. I did not ever imagine as a child that this is what I would be doing, or doing any of this on this extra level. And it was just so obvious after I had to basically do all these things with myself,
Yeah.
that I was like, wow, no, why is no one else doing this? Like openly. Maybe people are. I mean, we're all sort of a level of counselor with our clients to a certain degree, but like, no, what's the real reason you cannot stick to your meal plan,
Yeah.
right?
I can't
It's
imagine
because,
any of my coaches asking me that in the way that you frame it.
right? And you can, and that's it. It's just, I don't add extra words and I don't add emojis. And that's what makes it look so straightforward. Because like a lot of the time when I'm typing something, it's like, why did you do that? But you're going to read it. Why'd you do that? Right. And that is why people have a hard time with me sometimes in your group, because they are reading it in this attitude voice of meaning like, I know more than you. And it could be as simple as like, oh, I wonder why you did that. Um, and right. But
Yeah.
that
I'm
triggers
glad that you're
people.
saying that for the record to like
For the
help me.
record, if you're watching, and
Yeah.
I know who
Stop
you are, and I know
recording
some of
Jamie
you
in
have
the
me,
group.
I know
Sorry,
some
I'll
of
get
you
back
have
in the
me
group.
blocked, and that's fine. But like that's just
Because
yeah,
you're just telling the truth, and it is really, it's like no one's asking that question. And here Rebecca pops up and is like, well, why did you overeat on your plan? And like we're like, well, shit, we don't want to answer that. We just want to blame it on diet fatigue, blah blah blah, all the
well, and then
excuses.
you see like the other coaches like giving the ass pat chat GPT answer because they
Oh,
just want your business.
yeah.
And I don't know, I just like I have to get out of it because every now and then I'm just like laser point like this is the question, like, or this is the answer. It's like, why am I adding 10 extra words and like trying to make it a thing that it's not? Here it is. Like, and again, that's just my upbringing. We're very direct, we're very straightforward, and people sometimes have a hard time differentiating between assertion and
Yeah.
aggression, and that's their issue and their trauma stuff, right? Because some people feel like they're being attacked all the time, and it's just like we're bouncing back and forth off of each other, and there's all of this energy. But it's definitely real, and these triggers are so obvious in this journey because it has so much to do with how you look and your sense of perceived value,
Value.
right?
Mhm.
And you can't hide it for very long when you are not on your meal plan. And there's this sense of shame and there's like all this stuff. But it's like if you actually worked with that instead of focusing on how do I undo this binge I just had,
Yeah.
then we can start to unlock some answers, right? It's like, okay, so be honest. It's painful, but starting to go back in the week, because a lot of the time people will go right to, oh, I feel bad about myself, instead of taking that moment to be like, what are the events that led up to this moment that the switch flicked and I was like, F it,
Yeah.
right? Those are the real questions that we need to ask, because if I can find out that something triggered you, I can try to figure out what's actually happening, because the trigger is just a thing, right? And the
Yeah.
wound is subconscious. So if we can start to have that conversation, you stand a chance. But
Yeah.
if you do not do this work, and I'm sorry, I'm like getting passionate. I'm not meaning to yell at you.
Go for
If
it.
you do not do this work, you are going to be in shackles for the rest of your life. And it comes down to things like binge eating and purging and crying when you get on the scale. If you do not go back and find the original wound, you cannot mantra or mind over matter this. You cannot white knuckle it. And how
Right.
do I know that? Because I've tried that. I've had these things because when I grew up, my mom, the only time she wasn't a raging bitch was when we were eating sugar. So clearly I soothed myself with sugar many times. And there was many times in my adult life when I was in my off season, I got pretty fat because I was like, you know what? F it. Nobody's looking at me right now. So I'm
Yeah.
going to, I'm going to just be a little bit more relaxed and I'm going to soothe myself. And then it got to a point where I was like, wait a second, I can't really stop doing this.
Yeah. I'm hooked on it.
How do I figure this out? Like, how do I break free? And of course you do hypnosis tracks and you do this, that, and the other, and you journal it out. But it wasn't until I started working with my inner child and actually going to the original wounds and taking them off that I was able to then replant a new idea or a new way of being.
And how have you applied that? Like examples.
Examples. Well, I mean, all of this work I've done with myself and literally just figuring it out on my own. And the example right there is just like when when I was first, bulking up and I got on the scale and I remember crying and feeling bad. And it was just like, oh my God, like why? Like, why am I letting this happen? Even though I was like, I have to make a decision not to feel this way. And I just went down a random, internet wormhole one day and I've heard about inner child regression. And it was COVID. So we had nothing better to do. We had nothing better to do. We were all isolated. And that was when I got a closer relationship to God because church was closed. It's like, wow, no, it's time to make this real. It starts to really connect
Yeah.
spiritually and see what he can do. Because if he doesn't do it, right, I can always kick him out. And I started praying, how can I be a better mom? How can I be a better athlete? And before you know it, inner child regression started popping up, and I looked into it for a hot second, and I did one meditation,
Yeah.
and what came up and out, because I guess I was ready, right? The answers come when you're ready for it. It was very profound and very real, and I was like, okay, wow, this is different. This is something I hadn't tried before, but this is really hard because you have to come face to face with the sadness and the darkness. And this is why a lot of people are kind of avoiding it, right? And I don't blame you sometimes because it's really tough to like have to go back to being a 5-year-old kid who's feeling scared and neglected and kind
Yeah.
of feel that and sit in that emotion. But you literally feel it come off of your energetic body. It's the craziest sensation. And then that lightness is there and your heart opens. And then after that, it's like, okay, I did a thing and I just kept going back.
Yeah.
As I got triggered with things. And I was like, no, wait a second. Let me try that thing again.
Work through it. Yeah.
And then oh my God, this started in COVID. So it's been years now. And it's just been periods of sometimes, don't have much healing to be done. But this is now my go-to method
I
of
love it.
dealing with anything and everything I have done. And every time I've gone into that meditation and every time I've seen like little me, something has changed, something has shifted. Even though
That's
sometimes like you
amazing.
ugly cry and your day is over. They're like it's a little crazy, right? Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for certain people to connect a little bit more, right?
It's a tough practice. It's not, you think it's like cognitive behavioral therapy is so common, and even just getting education around things is so common. I feel like inner family systems, I keep thinking I'm saying, yeah, inner family systems is, it's different. It's deeper, it's layered, it's kind of weird, and it does take getting, or not weird, but it's very different than like CBT, right? And it takes getting past that, I'm going to call it gross phase of just going from being an overachiever that will grind all of my problems away and hammer everything. And if I can just be great at everything, I won't have these problems. You have to step back and into the gross and accepting that you have these issues. And then go
Yeah,
even further back. It's so hard.
at first. And what is exciting about it is the thing is, you don't even get a choice. You will be knocked on your ass. You will get sick. You will get injured. Something, there will be a turning point, right? There's always a turning point for everybody with this kind of stuff. And the turning point is, my God, I am so sick of doing the same thing the same way and getting the same result. And you have to be so sick of your own bullshit that you're almost face down crying, desperate to change. And that's when people always pray, always like, God help me. And then somebody like me comes along and is just like, hey, you know what? This has nothing to do with your pants not fitting.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's somebody like you, and it's not somebody who just says, like, let me put you on another diet plan and get you back on stage.
But maybe they haven't learned it yet. Maybe the person did that and then they felt that way, and they felt that way for 3 days. And then day 4 came and they're like, no, I want to be lean.
Yeah.
You have to suffer an immense amount before you truly change. And there's no way around that. And I think that is paradoxical, because people are avoiding this work because they don't want to suffer.
Well, it's like you said, the pain, like the pain of staying the same has to outweigh the pain of going through that change. And that's a lot. You going back to what you said earlier about post-show blues is a great opportunity.
Awesome, right? And that's from somebody who's in a completely different mindset. Because if you say that to someone, your athlete, they're like, what the hell is wrong with you? This is great. Oh, you got post-show blues? Wonderful. We can actually really work through some...
Use this, yeah.
We can use this, but if this stuff and these sensations are new, obviously it's going to be scary for these athletes. And, if you're working with a coach, and as we know, anyone can be a coach. We don't know what skill set, we don't know what kind of support level we have. And I don't know, it's people will get through it, but the answers come when you're ready. That's the real message. When you are ready for things to actually change after you've had enough suffering, you can start. And it doesn't mean it's going to be instant, and it does not mean it's going to be easy. In fact, it's going to be awful a lot of the time. But you have 2 choices. You are literally on the earth waiting to die. You can continue to do the same things and lose relationships and binge eat and, avoid this stuff and maybe drink alcohol and just say, F it. Is it even worth it? Or you can say, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. And you're still maybe going to have a drink once in a while and say, fuck it. And that's okay too. But you keep getting back on that path. It's not snakes and ladders and you end up at the bottom. It's a trail, and you take a side step and then you can step right back on. And you keep going, right? So you don't lose progress spiritually or physically most of the time, but you can start to lose pieces of trauma that formed an identity that isn't real about you. But you'll still, if you love bodybuilding, you'll stay. For a lot of people, they don't love bodybuilding. And if we're talking about the coaching side of things, Chelsea, I've been coaching for years now online. The amount of people who have come my way and said, I want to get into bodybuilding, and I haven't seen them after 4 months, is probably 90%.
Do you think it's because of the barrier to entry, how challenging it is?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And not even the barrier to entry for some people. It's literally people don't understand really what it is. They just see the Arnold, the girls on stage, and they have no idea.
Or how many times people have told me, I could do that. I just like soda too much. I could do that. I like food too much. Like, it didn't take 20 years of weightlifting to get here. It kills me when people say that.
People have no idea.
Nobody looks at the NBA and says, like, I could do that.
Because it's not beautiful.
I guess.
That's the bottom line. It's not beautiful. Nobody comes to me and says, hey, Rebekaah, I want to do an Ironman. Because you're not standing on a stage in a bikini having people clap, and you don't have shit to post on your Instagram about your prep, and you're not relevant in a sea of 600 people on a bicycle. But you are dying to have that moment on stage, even though you don't freaking like chicken and rice or cardio, and you just want to wake up in a few months and be shredded and lean so you can spend money on jewels to go and turn in a circle 3 times. And you're thinking this is the thing that's going to, satisfy that longing in your heart. And it's the
Mm,
little person inside of you who's longing for the validation, and you've got to start working with these things. But when
yeah.
you love bodybuilding, you still bodybuild. You know what I'm saying? So that's
I
why I realized,
Bodybuilding can be such an expression of self-mastery.
yes.
There's just, it's a 24/7 sport. It never lets up. There's every aspect that you do not master in your life, whether it's hormones, sleep, recovery, relationships, food, workouts, is going to show up on stage. And so there's something so beautiful about that whenever it's done from a place of self-mastery. That's like the highest level, right? But then you've got to get so many other things in order before you can actually even pretend that that's how you're showing up on stage.
Right. And for most of us, the fake it till you make it is what we've been told, but that's absolute horseshit. It's face it till you make it, and face it as you go. Do it as
Interesting.
you go. Just do it as you go. I pulled out of prep last year because I have done a few shows and I was prepping, and I was in such a fasted state that things start to come up a little bit more when you're hungry, right? And you're like, I think it was 7, 8 weeks out, and it was like so much childhood trauma. And I just decided I'm not going to wrestle with this and try to prep at the same time. And it was like the best decision I ever made. Like instantly, I was like,
Good.
oh my God, I'm free. And also, I'm playing the long game and I love bodybuilding, right? So, a lot of the time, this is just like such an emotionally based idea that
Yeah.
somebody thinks, oh, that's a pretty thing. I'm emotionally invested in this. And then you gain 10 pounds and you're trying to gain muscle and you're not sexy and you don't feel beautiful and you're sending form videos to your coach. And it turns out you actually don't lift that well or that hard. And you are learning what bodybuilding is. And then it's like, oh, that's the barrier to entry. It's not that
Yeah.
it's that hard to lift better and to do. Some people want that. Some people are ready for it, but some people are going to get triggered and their
Yeah.
self-worth. And then that's when they have that conversation with themselves. Like, do I really want to do this? Right? Do I
Well,
really like, it's not just a sparkly bikini and 60 minutes of cardio and a little bit of lifting and posing. It's not
well,
it.
and I think the motivation to push yourself because it's coming from a wound, it only goes so far. And then you start seeing the self-sabotage come in and like the other coping mechanisms, or hey, I'm 6 weeks out, I'm second guessing myself. What else can I go to for comfort?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot of stuff goes haywire. And I just want to acknowledge this before we pass it, that you pulling out of a prep is so smart when you saw an opportunity of like, hey, this other stuff is coming up for me, especially with as much inner work as you'd probably done by that time, that
Yep.
I'm going to jump on this window because I'm feeling this now and this is more important for the long haul.
Totally correct. And that was actually a 9 month block of healing that I had to go through. It
Mm.
was awful. It was like being awake during surgery.
Oh,
2025 is how I would describe that year, being awake during surgery. But so incredible on the other side of it, right? The only way out is through. And the thing is, I was like, two choices: stay and feel this way, or lean in, and start to embrace like what's really right in front of my face. And yeah, 9 months later, it's like, wow, okay, I am a different person. I am so free in terms of breaking through the chains of my trauma. And it was because I just did the same shit over and over again.
and
I
nobody
found
will
my
know
triggers,
how
like,
good
and
that feels until they do
yeah,
the hard work. It's so
that's right. That's
freeing.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing stopping most people is fear. And also maybe not having the right support, because I'm not going to say that I have not had support in the last year. I have been working with a therapist, and he specializes in trauma. So
Good.
he almost like cracked my brain open a little bit, and we got through the first layer. And then once that came up, and then I was deeply in that fasted state in the prep, the rest, it just like purged out of my body, and I asked for it. Not at that moment,
Yeah.
but I remember, how do I be a better mom? How do I be a better person? How do I heal my nervous system?
Oof,
Because,
yes.
right, I knew, I was like, okay, a lot of this stuff is nervous system stuff. And it just, I went with it, and I've come out on the other side, and it's like, it's life changing stuff. And I think for people with addictions, it's going to be a big deal. And right, not just fitness, it's addictions and habits and things. And if you've ever tried to lose weight, you've ever tried to stop binge eating, you've ever tried to not use drugs or drink, it's probably childhood wounds.
Yeah.
that are
Well, all hand in
driving.
hand, right? Childhood wounds, addictive personalities,
Yeah,
overachiever kind of syndromes, like they all kind
exactly.
of do ping around each other.
Yeah, and we want to escape our pain. Of course, I get it. I get it. It
Hmm.
is not, you're going to wake up today and walk face first into pain. It's hard because there was days for myself where it's like I couldn't do anything for hours at a time because I was just so completely rattled by the stuff that I had to face and deal with, right? It's definitely disruptive. It's definitely a big deal. And I think every now and then I definitely have that moment too, because I have been doing this for years of when the fuck is this ever going to end? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? When is this ever going to end? But it's much less, and it's always better, and be brave and walk right through it and face the stuff that you're being presented with, because that is how you free yourself. That is how you have a higher quality of life, a higher quality of being, how you control yourself, how you actually cultivate discipline, because you don't have this subconscious system running in the background being like, just eat that cookie. We need that cookie. We need that cookie because that's the only thing that's going to make this okay right now, because I'm a scared little child, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you don't hear that, but that's what's happening. And that's why when you said self-sabotage, I'm like, I love self-sabotage. Why? Because like if you look at it, I'm sure everybody who's ever self-sabotaged is like, pray that I couldn't do that. So guess what you got? Another opportunity to sabotage yourself so you could ask yourself the real question, what is driving this?
Yeah.
What is driving this? Like
And
what
I
part
would
of me can't control myself? Where did that start?
absolutely. I would also
Right?
encourage people, anyone listening to this, to be open. I think that's one of the hardest things. And it could, this could be my personality. And I'm going to guess this might be your personality too. Where if someone told me this and I wasn't in the right place to hear it, or I wasn't ready to be open to it, then I'm going to tell them to fuck off. Like they have no
Oh yeah.
idea.
Yeah. I love
Being
that you said
open.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that's
Because
Hey, babe, quick question. Have you fallen out of your routine or are you training and just not seeing the results that you want? You probably don't need more effort or anything else on your plate. You just need a better strategy. Inside the Physique Blueprint, we use bodybuilding principles, goal specific training, and evidence based nutrition to help you build strength, curves, and confidence. If you're ready to train with intention, the link to join us is in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the show. The
yeah.
life coach I work with now, so I worked with a lot of counselors in the past. So now I have a life coach who does specialize in these things. And that is my job when I go into those sessions, is to be open. Even if she says something I don't agree with, like I'm like, just hold it. Just hold it until it makes sense, because someone calling you on your shit is valuable.
Totally, totally is, and it's unusual. And again, people with their woundings will take that as a personal attack, but we don't. And being open is so important. And I'll never forget when my friend invited me to church for the first time, and I said, "Fuck you." Exactly like that, because I was not there. I was not in the right mindset. And then I actually was making fun of her, and then she's like, "I'm actually really upset that you're making fun of something that brings me joy." And that was the moment where I was like, wow, I'm a piece of shit. You know what? If it
Oh,
brings her joy and she's my friend, maybe I should just try it. And if I don't like it, I never have to go again. Right.
we
And
learned.
that's no risk, no reward. And I've definitely had that mindset for a long time. I'm not afraid to try something and be wrong. Not
Yeah,
at all.
which is
Because at least I
huge.
know. It's data collection. It's data collection, right? So sure as
Absolutely.
heck, I went, and it was great. And here we are years later, and I've definitely continued my walk with the Lord and been in and out of church and done my own thing. But the bottom line is that relationship and that connection that I've cultivated through that opportunity after I first decided to, like, I'm going to open my mind to just something different, because I'm just getting the same over and over again. And if you're a Seinfeld fan, I'm a big George Costanza fan, and there's an episode of Seinfeld where George is encouraged to do the opposite, and everything starts going his way.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? It's iconic. It's an amazing episode,
It
and
is.
that's what we have to do sometimes. If everything is not going how you want it to go, what if you did the opposite? what if you let go of what you think you know? What if you tried something? Because the worst thing is you're wrong and you leave and you change your mind, and you're allowed to change your mind. That's good. But what if it's the thing that starts the unraveling? What if it starts the change in you? What if this is even the conversation that encourages that introspection? Then great. If you're
Yeah.
watching this, then this is for you, right? There's no question about that. It's messages like this that do get out for the people who are ready to hear them. The people who are not probably already logged off.
Yeah. They're checked out. They're not wanting to hear it.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that like the work that you've done personally and the fact that you're able to bring it to other people. And I just want to emphasize like how good of a coach you have to be to do that. Because anybody can prescribe macros, anyone can prescribe training, but to actually say like, wait, why did this happen? Back up, go deeper, back up, go deeper, back,
Mhm.
like to ask those right questions, like that is what makes somebody an exceptional coach. So I love that you're doing this for the community. I want to make sure I get into some of these questions before I
Sure.
get kicked
Yeah,
out of
go
this
for it.
room I reserved. Okay, the first question that was dropped in to ask you is just says bodybuilding over 50. So, what is your take on bodybuilding over 50?
You're a grown woman, do whatever you want.
Hormone implications, maybe?
I
I don't.
mean, I don't know. Like, you go, girl. If you're over 50 and this is what you want to do, heck
Do
yeah.
you have athletes over 50?
Yeah.
Or some of them kind of just starting this inner work journey?
Yes.
That's
For
tough.
women, a lot of us are busy with our children, and we don't have time to reflect until we're in our 40s and beyond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a big pivot time. I completely agree with that, and I think it whenever you hit that, it's all about self-actualization, right? Like getting through this,
That's
it's
right.
it's going to bring you to a higher version of yourself. So whenever you get there and can do this work is amazing. Okay, how has the industry changed from then to now? Your honest thoughts on where it's going. Let's call then 10
Um,
years ago. Okay.
you know what? I'm the wild card. I love it. I love how mainstream. I love business. I studied marketing and business, and something about me is I have no doubt about my ability to literally lose everything and then turn around the next day and rebuild it. And what they've done with bodybuilding, taking it from an obscure thing that nobody knew about really and a magazine to putting it on Instagram and, really making it a sport, just like a lot of the other sports out there. I think that's really, really cool from a business standpoint. It's
Completely
also,
agree.
right, more opportunities for athletes. There's more pro shows than ever, and there's more shows for people like us who want to try to go through this journey and just start and see if it's for them. So I think it's terrific. I also think it's interesting that they've added more female divisions. I would love to see another men's division that is less than men's physique.
Kind of on par with Fit Model.
Yeah,
Yeah,
men's fit model, like Calvin Klein model body, right? I think that's. I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't know
brilliant.
anything. I don't know anything. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, but I love it. And yeah, that's it. I love the industry, and I don't know all the details, and like I don't know the politics, and ignorance is a little blissful. I really do manage my Instagram newsfeed with what I'm taking in, and I don't follow a ton of. I don't look at a lot of people. I just try to focus,
That's the
stay
way
in
to
my
do
lane,
it.
and
Yeah.
I love bodybuilding. I love lifting, right? So it's cool that
Yeah.
more and more people are getting into it and more women are getting into it. So I love that. It's changed the skinny movement big time because of the
Oh my
visual
gosh.
availability of social media. So women see, the bikini category and these other women and the wellness and the horse legs, and they're like, wait a second,
That's
maybe I can,
attractive.
yeah, like that
Yeah.
looks cool. Like maybe I can try to get bigger instead of being bored of trying to be skinny my whole life, which is, literally what happened to me and is happening to thousands of others. No question about it. Where you're just like,
Absolutely.
you know what? This is kind of not that satisfying. Let me try building something.
It's one of my favorite things about the sport is I think it can actually pull, you're a perfect example of that, pull people in the other direction away from the skinny talk movement. Okay, I want to circle back to one thing that you said that I just absolutely love, and we could have a whole other episode about this. How you show up in the group, which I love that you have a marketing background in communication because the way that you articulate things is very clear and very direct. And from a business marketing standpoint, it's brilliant. Like it cuts the fluff, but it gets, like you said earlier, misinterpreted sometimes. And I just have such a bone to pick with that, because it's so hard to be a woman and have any authority or directness and not be torn down for it.
Hmm. I just don't
Personal
care.
gripe.
I just don't care. And again,
Yeah.
that was my childhood. Who gives a shit what people think? And I was the 5-year-old child that I would open my mouth and say the thing without thinking just to get a reaction.
No, I love it.
So having come from that, and then, even though my mom was not the best mom, like when I was having a hard time at school, they're just jealous of you. I don't believe that. But who cares what people think? And I was like, yeah, who cares? Because even if somebody feels triggered by how direct I am about something, that's about them. That's
Let
okay.
them.
Not
Yeah.
everyone's going to like me. And historically, since the beginning of my life, not everyone has liked me. And I'm still okay.
Yeah. I
It's
think that's
fine.
a
I
message
don't
that needs to get out on a broader
I
basis.
don't need everybody to like me, and I don't need everybody to agree with me. And the things that I say and I talk about are not for all y'all. So if you don't like it, that's all right. You're welcome to do anything. You're all grown women, you're all grown people. And the people who are into it, that's fine. That's great. But
Good.
the bottom line is, if we are here for a short time in this human existence, I feel very strongly that I have a moral obligation to encourage the elevation of consciousness in the collective. Right. And again, people might be like, what the hell did she just say? But that's fine. That is just something that I feel deep within. And that's the call. And that's what really encourages me to do the things that I do. And nobody can be me and do the things the way I do it. Right.
You
And
have a
that's the truth.
superpower.
And when you've come through this healing journey and you think, okay, wow, why do I come across as a bitch sometimes? There's part of me that's like, I feel bad about it. But then there's other parts of me that it's like, nobody else has the nutsack to just say the thing. This is what's missing, and this is what I have been designed to do, and this is the way I'm doing it, and this is how you're going to know the difference between AI and me and humans,
Yeah.
especially as we go more forward in time with this whole online world. The fact that I even get on video chats with people before I take them on as a client, a lot of people are surprised by that, because you could do AI phone calls.
It matters so much though, especially for
You
the way that you coach to have that connection and for the athletes that you want.
Yeah,
I critical, like you got to.
critical,
It really is
critical.
your superpower for sure. All right, are you ready
Right?
for
So
some hot
I
seat
accept.
You
What's
ready
that?
for some hot seat questions?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. What is one piece of advice you've received that has stuck with you?
Don't be a wuss.
Solid.
I remember I was training with some dudes, and it was more of a CrossFit style gym, and it was box jumps, and it was not a soft box. It was a wooden box, and I remember I went up a couple times, and and then Buddy just looked at me. He's like, "Don't be a wuss," and that was it. I was like, "Oh, all right, all right,"
Tear
and
those shins up.
I jumped on that box.
Good. That's solid, though. I love that advice. Okay. If you could teach a class, oh, this is such a good one for you. If you could teach a class on one thing not related to your professional expertise, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know. Teach a class that's not related to bodybuilding. I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm going to need some time to think about that because,
Oh my gosh. I feel
yeah.
like that's such a, okay, I would vote you for marketing and communications because I think you don't know how you do it so well, but I think you are so good at it. I would also for even just like women's like business coaching because you do
Oh,
have
I've done
just
that
such
already. Oh, yeah. No, I've already done that. That was like 2
your
years ago.
advice is so like
Yeah.
direct of like, well, I've like gone to you with stuff and I'm like, this is going on. And you're like, well, what is the problem? You need to do this. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Okay, thanks.
But this is why we need people, all right? This is why we need friends. This is why we need to have conversations and human interactions. You cannot constantly ask ChatGPT and these other sources for opinions when they're always going to try and like be really soft and on your side, right?
You
Sometimes you
need the
need to be
right
like, hey,
opinions or they
what?
exacerbate it. They make it
Yeah,
worse. That like they will make it worse. You need someone who's going to level with you and be like, this is a non-issue. I mean, or take it seriously if it needs to be
sure.
taken seriously, but like let's not put a bunch of fluff on it.
No, like, why are we so worried about saying something. And in the fitness industry, it's people are afraid of losing money and clients. Right. So instead of being honest and like sometimes having these conversations that need to happen, you kind of, let it go here and there. And then you start to like feel resentful, and like it's a two-way street. It's a relationship. So these things definitely happen. So teaching a class, I like teaching classes because it's just sharing knowledge and, teaching people stuff that I've experienced rather than studied. I always talk about stuff that I experienced. I've taught classes about prep. When I worked at the gym as a personal trainer, I would get like seminars. I had posing seminars. I just did things, right? I gave a talk about protein and like a whole talk about dieting at another gym I worked at. So it was all just like, hey, this is something that people might be interested in. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to talk about it, because when you get to the level when you can teach things, that's when you're like almost absorbing your own level of knowledge. That's where you can tell, like, okay, do I really truly get this? Because if I can't, like, bring it back out and share it with someone else, do I truly understand this concept? But when you do, that's what's exciting. And I've had great teachers, throughout my career. I've been with a few coaches. I've had good experiences, and there's no limit to what you can learn and receive. So it's really important to just kind of go with your own flow, because I was an overachiever for a while, and right, I'm like overwhelmed with like, I need to know this, I need to do that. And it's like,
take it all in.
I can't do all of the things, and I can't train all of the people, and I don't want to train all of the people. Right. It's crazy. But I have to be straightforward with my clients, or we're never gonna get anywhere.
Totally. And you're very, very solid at that. Very good at that. Okay. We talked about this last one a little bit already, but what are your predictions for where the bodybuilding, fitness, wellness industry will be in the next 5 years?
5 years. I mean, I think it's just gonna get bigger. Just gonna get bigger. It's just gonna be. I think what they're trying to do is just make it mainstream. So I would love to see the next level be Olympia stream for free, like the Arnold's.
Cool. Yes.
Right. We need to grow the audience. We need to do the thing. We need to do the thing that other sports are doing, right? Like making a big deal about the athletes. And we're doing that. And if it has grown this much in, I don't know, the 10 years that I've been like actively in it, I have no doubt that now it's gathering quite a bit of momentum, right? Especially with the additional female categories, and just more people are coming out. And there's nothing wrong with making money. So I respect that part. I don't ever like get worried about the whole fit model thing is a cash grab. So what?
I think I don't see it that way, honestly. I've heard that too, but I don't see it that way.
But even if you don't, but if you did, even if it's like, okay, maybe it was, maybe, I think it is, but I'm not mad about it because it's just like, okay, it gets more people involved. That's why they put it there. They want more people involved. And what do they get when more people are involved, Chelsea? Money. Yeah. So it is. Right? We could say, oh, we really needed that lighter version because we are honoring bikini. Sure, whatever you want to tell yourself, but this is about money. This is a sport.
They did it so well, though, like to make it so much more entry level with the suits and everything. Like it's so smart because, and I mean, for expanding the audience too, and just I mean, how many more people have it on their social media feed now because they actually have access to the sport.
People look at that and they think, I can do that.
Totally,
people look at me strutted and they're like, I don't do that.
I would not be able to do that.
Right. And they don't want to. And we need to make it softer and slightly sexy, because a lot of women are designed, just they want to be desired. They want to be seen. They want to be validated. Yeah. So whoever thought a fit model is a freaking genius.
I would love to know. I would love to know who did, because there's so many different elements of it, even what they call it, fit model. It's brilliant.
Right. And that's why I'm like, they'd be stupid not to have like a model boy category.
Yeah, you're so right, though. I wonder what they would call it. I'm going to hope that it's not model boy, but we'll reconnect in 5 years and find out if it is.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Okay. Those are all fantastic answers. You're just such a rock star. Where can people find you to connect with you for coaching or to follow you online?
Oh, you can just send me a DM. I mean, that's it. There's nothing special. Just send me a message.
Facebook is the best place?
Yeah, Facebook. Absolutely.
And the group is Inner Aesthetics. We'll link it in the show notes so you guys can find it and connect with Rebecca there. Is there anything else that I should have asked you that we didn't touch on?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Have
this was
a good
fun.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hang tight for 1 second. I'm going to stop the recording.